Okay, so this is the Slipstream, and this is a run I did of the Glitchless category. So Slipstream is a game that I made in a program called Zelda Classic. Basically, what Zelda Classic is it's a recreation of the Zelda 1 engine, and what it has is it actually has a versatile editor with it, and a lot of other like quality of life features as well. So basically, like it also adds a lot more modern things like diagonal movement, being able to slash your sword like you do in the Game Boy games, and Link to the Past, and have like more modern items like the hook shot, lens of truth, a lot of other like quality of life stuff like that. But it has a really versatile editor, and it's really good for like making really simple games with it, and even up to like complex games. Because it even like has a coding thing where you can like add your own code to it as well. And so I made this game called it, and it's called the Slipstream, as I said before. And this is a glitchless run I did of it. So without further ado, let us go through the run. So a little bit more on this game. I made this game in 2015, or I made the main story of this game in 2015 for a 2-week contest where you had 2 weeks to make a game, and actually won second in that competition. Then I went back and revamped and added a lot to the game. I added a full post game to the game and all that, and I released a definitive edition of it in 2019. And so this is the full finished edition of Slipstream. And here we have a difficulty selection. You can select between 4 different difficulties. Each difficulty as you go higher increases the amount of damage you take. And on the last difficulty, the enemies even have more health. But we choose easy mode here because we're going to be pretty bare minimum as far as like gear and health goes. And it just makes some things a little bit more convenient as well. And it barely wastes any time to get easy mode. So basically how this game works is the backstory on this game is that there's this big portal in the middle of this world, and it's called the Slipstream. And anyone who enters into it can't get out of it. And the main character's best friend and grandmother gets sucked into it. And so he jumps in to go rescue them. And the Slipstream has all these different realms in it, and you can travel to each of these realms through these Slipstream portals, like these little purple portal-looking things. And the way you open those portals is that when you beat the boss in each area, then the Slipstream portals will open, leading you to new areas. So that's how you travel through each of the worlds. You also have this orb that old man gave you earlier that'll allow you to warp to the refuge. And in the refuge you have a shop, and you have some information about the game too from the NPCs. You also have a level up shop, where you can get upgrades, more health, more magic. In this case, when you get the first level, you get the first item of the game, the candle. And the way the combat works in this game is that there are 4 different it's based on an elemental system. There are 4 different elements in the game. There's Slipstream material, which is purple. There's kinetic, which is like energy type of element. So and kinetic is green. Radiant, which is like fire, is red. And aquatic, which is like water, is blue. And so, as you would expect from an elemental system, like each element is weak to another element. So like the Slipstream material is strong against kinetic and vice versa. Fire is good against water and vice versa. And so, let's say, for example, you're fighting a blue enemy, a water enemy, and you hit it with a fire weapon, it will do normal damage. And if you hit it with any other weapon, it will do half damage. But if you hit the blue enemy with a blue weapon, so essentially the same element, then it won't do any damage. That's kind of how the combat works for this game overall, so you have to kind of like watch what items you use and try to find like what's most efficient in each scenario. And so here's our first boss. And so each boss will drop an artifact. These artifacts will open the Slipstream portals in the area you're in. And so in this case, we open the portals and we're able to go to the next area. And so like I said before, the goal of this game, and for this category too, is to beat every area and get every artifact so that we can be able to open up the last area and then beat the final boss there. And the goal is to beat the main story. There is a post-game in this game, but this category does not doesn't do anything from the post-game. Also, you may notice, see, I'm opening up this continue menu in a lot of places. You can press a button and open up the traditional Zelda 1 menu where you can hit continue to continue your game from your respawn point. You can save the game, or you can hit retry to get out of your file without saving. Just like in Zelda 1. But we use this menu to cut out backtracking, but we can also use it for refilling health as well, because it refills our health all the way back to full. So we're making our way through here. And there's a little button maze to get to this next key. And you may notice like the music and the sound effects are all from like different games. You can kind of think of it like a ROM hack in that kind of way. It kind of goes under the category of like a fan game, for instance. That's kind of a way you can kind of think of how Zelda Classic works. And so this is the hand shooter. And this uses the currency you have for this game are all stopwatches, just a unique currency. And you're using the hands of the stopwatches as arrows with the hand shooter. So it's just like the Zelda 1 bow where you're using the currency as arrows, but it's got like a logical reasoning behind it. In Zelda Classic, you can also choose to have like actual legitimate arrow ammo. So it kind of gives you an idea of some of the versatility of the options in Zelda Classic. Yeah, we got some combat rooms here. This will open up a shortcut right there for later. That'll go from the entrance to this room over here. So now we have this boss. And like I said before, the candle's only going to do half damage against this enemy. We don't have a blue weapon to do the fullest extent of damage to this enemy. However, the candle is nice for getting multiple hits at once, so it is still very useful in a lot of cases, even if it's not necessarily like the strongest weapon against an enemy, but it's really good for just getting multiple hits. In this case, this is really the only efficient weapon we can use. We don't really have money. We don't really have enough money to be using the hand shooter, and the candle's just better overall. Alright, so now we're finished with this area, we're going to head into the next area. We're going to head into this, this very nice swampy area, where you kind of traverse this area, kind of a mix between like land and water here. And there you can see we're going to get the sword pretty soon. Get some nice Banjo-Kazooie music. I'm going to come over here and open up this shortcut. This also goes back to the entrance. Grab this key, and then go down here. Can't use the candle on these guys, of course, because they're purple. And we're gonna make our way over here. And we're gonna get the sword. So, what's really nice, with the route we're using here, we essentially got the candle and the sword as early as possible. These are probably the two best weapons in the game. And even like I was saying with the candle earlier, like these two weapons are pretty efficient to like deal with most scenarios. Now obviously there will still be scenarios where we'll use different weapons just because of like elemental advantages, but overall the sword and the candle can deal with just about everything. and makes combat, especially earlier on when you don't have every single element yet. Having sword and candle early is really helpful. When's tasks? When there are task tools for ZC. Okay, so interesting thing about how enemies work in ZC. So it works the same way as in Zelda 1. Where the way the enemies work is that they're all on a list. And whenever you leave the room, it'll remember how many enemies are on the screen. Then when you come back in the room, it'll spawn that many enemies, but only take the enemies from the top of the list. And so, let's say you have 3 enemies on a screen, and you kill one of those enemies. Like, let's say that one enemy you killed was the first enemy on the list. You leave the room and then come back in. Well, there will still be 2 enemies in the room, but the third enemy on the list is going to be the one that's gone, and the first 2 on the list will be in the room. So it's always going to take the enemies from on top of the list. And there are a few other cases, like in some of the other categories, where we took advantage of this as well. So that's always something to keep in mind. That's always something to keep in mind in general with ZC games, because that's just how Zelda 1 works. Are there none? No, Bowser. So we make quick use of this boss. We got this artifact. There are no Slipstream portals in this area. This is one of the few areas that is a dead end. So now we backtrack a little bit, and now we head into this area. We reach Mill Pond Caverns. Probably my personal least favorite area in the whole game. But overall, like, interesting and in full. Like, I'm still fairly happy with how it came out. Okay, so we'll come over here. The objective of this room is to beat that enemy, and when you beat that enemy, that doorway will open and you have to get to the key before it goes down to the spikes. And so, basically the way this area flows is you're swimming through the cavern and just opening up different passageways through this, like, maze of tunnels. Yeah, this is one room where having the sword was really advantageous. Like, we could have gone here before the swamp and then came back to the swamp later. But the problem is that not having sword in some of these later areas, because this is an area leading up to the late game areas, so the enemies are getting significantly harder. So having sword in these areas, especially for these purple enemies here, makes a huge difference. So that's why we went and got the sword as early as possible. Also, I think I struggle a little bit here in the run. We also get water bombs in this area. Oh no, where's the big key? Oh no. Oh, there it is. Oh man. Oh really, Chef? Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, I got spawn killed on one of my runs earlier today, Chef. I got spawn killed by the final boss, which we will see the name of later in the run. Alright, so here we got a meme boss. I literally made this boss as a meme, so really this whole area is just a meme. Like, honestly, this boss is not meant to be hard at all. You can see that in some cases, he aims nowhere even close to you. So we take care of him. And we head on to the next area. Now, at least for me personally, I think this was probably my favorite area. This was my favorite area to design. So this area is pretty special to where we can hit a button and be able to jump anywhere in this area. And we can actually do a skip here, where we jump on the outer areas of this land here, and get to the small key without having to go around and hit that button. And instead of backtracking like I normally would, I use a continue here to refill my health. That is true, Chef. Bad RNG could actually make anglerfish threatening. So yeah, ZC, unlike the original Zelda 1, ZC allows an L and R button, and it also allows 4 extra buttons, or what's known as the EX buttons. And there's EX1 through EX4, so you have 4 extra buttons that you can add, all on your own. And in the case of this game, EX1 and EX2 cycles through your A button items, L and R cycle through your B button items, and then EX3 in this case is what allows us to jump here, and then EX4 warps us to town. Also, I got really bad RNG in this room, because I'm wanting to get this life orb here for stuff later in the run. It's just for safety really, but it does become really annoying when I get bad RNG there and waste a lot of time trying to get it. Okay, so here's an example of me using an element specifically that has an advantage over an enemy, just because of how fast it takes them out. So we're gonna head over here. Yeah, normally you're supposed to go to that door on the right to hit the button to get to the small key, but it'll create a platform to it, but not in this run. And so here's another boss that's really good to have the sword for. So if we didn't get the sword earlier, then we would have not only had to use the hand shooter, but we would have had to make sure we had enough money to be able to actually use the hand shooter against them. And since we're still kind of lacking on variety of useful weapons, it's best to just bring sword here. Okay, so we finished this area. So this is considered the next to last area. So this, oh yeah, I forgot. Well, this gives me time to explain anyway. Yeah, I died here. You're not supposed to do that. But basically, this is the next to last area. So this area I'm heading to here is going to be a big combat room, which it's supposed to be a big combat room before you reach the final area. And right before the final area on the screen above us is a barrier, and the barrier is only open when you have all the artifacts. And the advantage of going here before beating the rest of the areas, because we still have 2 other areas we have to beat, aside from the last area, of course. The reason we come here earlier is because when we defeat these enemies, it'll actually open up some shortcuts to some of these other areas. So it's useful for less backtracking to come here as early as possible. So now we open up these shortcuts, and we can go over here. This area is to the right of the first area, so we could have gone here straight from the first area, but we saved it here for later for just backtracking reasons, really. Oh no, Chef. Yeah, gotta love the unintentional deaths. They're really punishing in this game. Yo, Brownie. Hope you're doing good today. It's all good. I'll get it next time. I appreciate you, Brownie. Alright, so in this area, to get to the main item in this area, you have to kind of just go around the full area after getting all the keys you need. Alright. Also, sword really helps with this area too. Because otherwise, if we had just gone straight here, we would have just had the candle. Which would be perfectly fine. Sword doesn't make as big of a difference here, but it is still really nice. Yeah, it is, Chef. Yeah, that combat room is good with hand shooter. Yeah, having a long-range weapon definitely does make a difference in this area. More so than the sword, I would say. Alright, so we get the hammer now. So not only is the hammer a water item, but it can also cool down this lava. However, the only lava we can really cool down is the one that's like rapidly bubbling. You'll notice some of the lava is bubbling at like a faster rate than the rest of the lava. That kind of lava you can cool down and make passable. And here's a puzzle that takes advantage of that. And here's a boss where we could use the hammer against him, but I'm actually going to use the candle just for maximum amount of hits in just a short amount of time. And I'm really bad at aiming, apparently. Yeah, I agree, Chef. Having Harbor last is kind of bizarre to me, too, because it almost doesn't feel like the end of the run. You are so weird, Cody. Yeah, so to kind of clarify what we're talking about here, we recently did a reroute of Glitchless. Because originally we weren't implementing the shortcuts that we got from the moon area to go to this area and lessen backtracking, but we recently rerouted it to take advantage of those. So before, this area was the third area we did in the run. But now it's the next to last area we do. Yeah, sometimes combat can be kind of tricky to do, especially with how enemies move. You can kind of you've probably been able to see that a lot throughout some of these combat rooms. Yeah, it is kind of nice. It's kind of nice getting Mill Pond and Moon out of the way, Jeff. Those two especially. It feels very nice getting those two out of the way. Yeah, I agree. Bring the more reset heavy areas here. Okay, just as a side note here, I actually hesitate there for a second, because when I continued, I wasn't sure if I actually got the magic side of the item, because the way that works is that it will give you the rod, but then it will give you the magic item in the text box. There's like a command in the text box to give you the magic part of the text box, and I was afraid I like continued too early and didn't get that, but fortunately I still got that. Nice arrow shot. Yeah, so now I believe, yeah, we have all the main items now. So now we can like really fully take advantage of the elemental system. And that's also, as another side note, that's also kind of one of the main reasons why I made a post game as well, to kind of let the full effects of the elemental system kind of shine in this game. Because now you have a weapon for every element, and the strategies you can implement there can be like really shown through the post game too. This boss can be kind of tricky with how he moves, because sometimes he can kind of psych you out. It's easier than you think it would be to die to this boss. And with that, we have every artifact. Well, every artifact except one. There is one artifact we get from the last area, but... So we use the shortcut to get back. And go straight to the last area. And so this last area is kind of a review. It's almost essentially like a review of some of the previous areas. So we have like lava here. There's some other areas where you see ice, where those ice blocks you hammer down to, like in the harbor. Got sand in some places, like there. Yeah, barrier skip, woo. Barrier skip, yeah. You got water there. Play it a little bit safe here. Hit that button there. A lot of things in this area are hitting switches and getting keys to open up places to eventually get to the boss key and then to the final boss. Hit that button. So, this puzzle here, you basically move this ice block to a certain point, and after a certain amount of time, the ice block is going to freeze over and stop following you, like it is here. And then, when you destroy the ice block, the layout will change. And depending on if you put it in the right spot, you'll be able to get the key. Messed up routing here. Is there a way I could like route this better, Chef? Or like route this final area more? I'll have to see what you did. Yeah, I think I die here again. Actually, I think I died twice in this area, unfortunately. Oh yeah, I'm playing it safe here. Yeah, so in a marathon setting, like obviously deaths and stuff like that are not too terribly bad, just a small little inconvenience, really. I did. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got pummeled there. This room's also just kind of tricky because there's like not that much room. It being like the final boss key you get in the main story. It's sadistic. Yeah. Honestly, with this room, I don't know what Past Juice was thinking. Maybe he wasn't thinking. I mean, granted, he was making this in 2 weeks, so maybe he was crunched for time. Poor guy. Although then again, there's no excuse, because I remade everything. Well, not remade, but like, updated everything. There we go. Okay. Normally I'm not supposed to continue there, but I decided to do it there because I don't think I could have actually gotten back with how the pits were laid out. And it also just refilled my health. Yeah, overall this last area didn't go as cleanly, but you get the idea, essentially. This is definitely a place where I could save a lot of time on. So we have the final boss. This is totally the final boss, which is just a basic Zelda 1 Gleeok, but using a different weapon, a different fire attack, or water attack, if you will. Huh. Now here's the final boss, and he has a bunch of stuff to say, but you can actually continue and take the shortcut back to him. And skip that whole text box, it saves like a few seconds. So these enemies that he spawns, you can only hit with their weak item. You can't hurt them with anything else though. And unfortunately, I die here too. My first attempt here was subpar. I know. It do be it do be subpar. Yeah, not only is he zooming towards you, he's also got a full ball and chain he's launching at you. Very fitting for a final boss. Sub 30? Oh my goodness. Maybe. And he tries to get one last hit out at you as he's dying. And that's the main story. That is the Slipstream. Glitchless. That is the run. So yeah, that is a 3-second PB. In true form, a true juice PB in his own game. But yeah, that is the run. I think I might upload this to YouTube. But if you're interested, I'm gonna leave a link to the Slipstream Discord and also the leaderboard spreadsheet. And if you're interested, definitely check it out. We also have a bunch of other categories as well. 'Cause, I mean, this was only Glitchless, but the rest of the categories are actually very broken. It's actually very different. So if you're interested, definitely go check out some Slipstream runs. Chef Bear found most of the stuff in this run. Like he found a lot of different glitches, and so he and I have both been working on the game. And of course, also as a side note, I've not changed anything in this game to reflect the speedrun at all. I've barely updated this game in a couple of years. So everything you see here was all found after I made the game. But yeah, if you're interested, definitely go check it out. Chef Bear did a lot of work in this game, and it's come out to a really, really unique and interesting speedrun. And I know I'm probably biased saying that, but, you know. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the Glitchless run, and I will see you guys next time.